Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
Kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam shatrubuddhi vinashaya deepajyotirnamostute deepajyotirnamostute shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadam.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions and commemorations. Today is commemorated as International Ataxia Awareness Day. It is observed on September 25th every year. Ataxia is used to describe a group of disorders. While any part of the body can be affected, people with ataxia have difficulties with balance and walking, speaking and swallowing. A rare disorder, it needs individuals to collectively talk about the impact this disease can have on one's mental and physical well-being. Ataxia is a rare disease that affects 1 in 50,000 people across the globe. Ataxia is a Latin term meaning lack of order and is caused by cerebellum damage. With cerebellum, ataxias are hereditary, not all are genetic. Other causes of cerebellum ataxia are stroke, tumors, viral infections, or head injuries. International Ataxia Awareness Day is observed by the National Ataxia Foundation every year. The organization was formed in the US in 1957. Since then, the foundation is thoroughly dedicated to increasing awareness about the neurological disorder. Additionally, they also aim to increase the confidence of patients who are suffering from this disease. Another motive behind this day is to ensure more physicians are also aware of ataxia, as with adequate knowledge, they can help in detecting early signs and provide timely medical care that can help a potential victim. The medical fraternity is still working tirelessly to make advancements in finding a cure for this disease. Ataxia is not to be taken lightly as it can be fatal in some cases. Moreover, the disease is progressive and gets worse with time. It is of paramount importance to lend physical and emotional support to the patients with ataxia, which will help them manage the disease and keep their spirits high. On International Ataxia Awareness Day, do your bit in whatever you can, either by volunteering for awareness campaigns or attending or donating funds, educating yourself, or simply getting your health checked to detect any possible signs of the disorder. German physician Nicholas Friedrich first described Friedrich's ataxia in 1863. The National Ataxia Foundation is formed to find a cause and cure for ataxia in US in 1957. The first meeting for ataxia, ataxia research takes place in Minneapolis to promote research collaboration between clinical, genetic, and basic science research of ataxia in 1975. The first international symposium on inherited ataxias is held in Los Angeles with representation of 100 researchers across 5 countries in 1977. So let's look at the symptoms of ataxia. A person facing ataxia could experience a range of symptoms such as poor coordination, unsteadiness, difficulties in performing fine motor tasks and swallowing, noticeable changes in speech, back and forth eye movement. It is advisable to seek immediate medical care if you start facing any of these symptoms at any age. There is no targeted treatment towards ataxia. One of the treatments carried out is treating underlying issues that cause ataxia. Ataxia can cause visual abnormalities. A person may suffer from blurred vision or double vision. They can even face difficulty in reading properly or following the movement of objects. With advancements in the medical industry, these are pre-symptomatic genetic testings available to learn if you are likely to develop ataxia. Knowing is half the battle already won. So you can take the precautions to ensure that triggers are kept away at bay to avoid an ataxia episode. Ataxia is a rare and not a lot of people know about it. Educate yourself on this disorder and use the power of technology and media to spread the word about it. With adequate knowledge, people can increase their focus on their health to lead a quality life. The National Ataxia Foundation organizes events to educate people about ataxia. You can join an IAAD event too and help the cause by lending your time and support. The majority of ataxia is inherited, and hence genes play a huge role in determining the way the condition will spread. Pre-symptomatic genetic testing is available for some forms of ataxia to determine if you are likely to develop it or to be a carrier. There is more than one type of ataxia. Ataxia telangiectasia, AT, Friedreich ataxia, multiple system atrophy, MSA, and spinocerebellar ataxia. A few types of ataxia are treatable, such as ataxia with vitamin E deficiency, which can respond to vitamin E supplements as a form of treatment. Severe cases of ataxia can be fatal in early childhood or early adulthood, while some may improve and some cases may gradually become worse. Ataxia is a rare disease that is caused by the damage of the cerebellum, which is responsible for the coordination of the movement. It can develop at any age and can be worse with time. It ends up affecting 150,000 people in the US. While there is no direct treatment for it, there can be some help sought to relieve symptoms that may trigger it. Some medications may cause symptoms of ataxia, and if stopped, the symptoms can be controlled. Timely medical intervention is of utmost importance. Ataxia can adversely impact your daily life by prohibiting you from performing basic functions. We often take moving around, swallowing, speaking for granted. Ataxia can affect these things that can leave us feeling helpless. International Ataxia Awareness Day can help build a community to allow victims of this disease to come together and know that they are not alone in this. The National Ataxia Foundation, which is working for ataxia research and solutions with a vision, a world without ataxia, ensuring no one experiences ataxia alone until no one experiences ataxia, period. And it has a mission to accelerate development of treatments and a cure while working to improve the lives of those living with ataxia. And it has introduced Accelerate to get involved. Accelerate is a $1 million annual fund to accelerate their ability to improve lives in those living in with ataxia. It is designed to raise funds in order to speed up our advocacy efforts, including new legislation importance to our community and progress, adding more resources for 65+ support groups, educating our community about genetic testing, including improving genetic counseling, providing genetic counseling and testing for all those living with ataxia, create a national, regional, and local ataxia awareness campaign to accelerate the understanding of the ataxia. Let's watch a short video.
Is ataxia? Ataxia is a debilitating illness which affects a person's ability to walk, speak, see, and swallow. Ataxia has no prejudice. It affects both young and old, rich and poor, men and women. Ataxia can be inherited, but it can also affect someone who has no family history of the disease. Ataxia is life-altering, and many will lose their fight prematurely. Yet one of the most frustrating things about ataxia is that very few people have heard of it. So those that have ataxia spend a lot of time trying to explain what's wrong with them to everyone else. To learn more about ataxia, visit www.ataxia.org.
The common medications for ataxia symptoms. Just for reference, common symptoms associated with ataxia are listed with off-label medications that have been used to treat them. Based on symptomatic treatment, these medications have been reported in medical literature or by ataxia clinicians. The generic name is listed first, if any, with the brand name. For depression and related SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and SNRIs, selective selective norepinephrine serotonin reuptake inhibitors, classes of drugs for anxiety or depression, dizziness and vertigo, acetazolamide or Diamox, 4-aminopridine, baclofen, clonazepam, flurazine, gabapentin, Neurotin, meclizine, menatine, ondansetron, zofran, scopolamine, tandem scoop patch for motion sickness. For fatigue and related symptoms, amantide, atomoxetine, Strattera, bupropion, valbrutin, carnitine, creatine, modafinil, Provigil, armodafinil, Nuvigil, pyridostigmine, selegiline, aldiprel, venlafaxine, Effexor, desvenlafaxine, Prestic, SSRIs, SNRIs, classes of drugs for anxiety or depression that may also help fatigue. Imbalance in coordination related, amantadine, buspirone, Buspar, Riluzole, Rilutec for muscle cramps or spasms, baclofen, tizanidine, Zanaflex. For neuropathy, Cymbalta, Lyrica, as well as common usage of gabapentin and other anti-seizure drugs and various tricyclic antidepressants. For stiffness, spasticity, rigidity, and dystonia, amantadine, baclofen, botulinum toxin shots, dantrolene sodium, dantrium, diazepam, Valium, but high doses can worsen ataxia, levodopa, carbidopa, levodopa, Cinemet, Pramixol, Mirapex, Ropinrole, Requip, Izandine, Zanaflex, trihexafenadil. For tremors or rest tremor, amantadine, botulinum toxin shots, carbamazepine, clonazepam, deep brain stimulation, flunarizine, gabapentin, Neurotin, isoniazid, levetiracetam, levodopa, carbidopa levodopa, Cinemet, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, ondansetron, Sofran, pramipexole, Mirapex, primidone, propranolol, propinol, re-equip, topiramate, valproic acid, drip out. Like we have seen various symptoms. These are the common medications used for ataxia symptoms for symptomatic treatment. These are just suggestive lists which are used as per the research, but not limited to the list. And there is exhaustive list. A National Ataxia Foundation provides support and funding for the world's greatest ataxia scientists and continue to collaborate with top researchers looking for better treatment options and a cure. So if anyone is interested, you can send research proposals, and if selected, you can also get funding if you are a researcher on ataxia. Now, what are the causes? We have seen causes in brief. Hereditary ataxias are genetic, which means they are caused by a defect in certain gene that is present from the start of person's life, inherited from the parents. Hereditary ataxias can be divided into those that are dominantly inherited, passing from generation to generation due to a single copy of a defective gene, passing from parents to child, and those that are recessively inherited, ataxia seen in a single generation and due to two copies of defective gene, one passed from each parent, who are carriers to the child. Autosomal dominant ataxias, each child of a parent with an autosomal dominant ataxia gene has a 50% chance of inheriting the ataxia gene. Since the gene is dominant, if a gene is passed on to the child from one parent, and the child will develop the disease. Men and women are affected equally. Spinocerebellar ataxia is one specific type of ataxia among a group of inherited diseases of the central nervous system. Genetic defects lead to impairment of specific nerve fibers carrying messages to and from the brain, resulting in degeneration of the cerebellum, the motor coordination center of the brain. With the advancement of research, more than 40 different genes of SCA has been found, with SCA1 being the first to be found. Episodic ataxia is clinically characterized by attacks of ataxia with a clear onset of resolution. There are now 8 recognized episodic ataxia syndromes, numbered 1 to 8, in addition to the late onset episodic ataxia. The genes are known as EA1, EA2, ES5, and EA6. The best characterized are EA1 and EA2, and others are exceptionally rare and largely defined by single families. Autosomal recessive ataxias. Autosomal recessive inherited diseases affect males and females equally, but for both the parents must be carriers of ataxia gene, and each must pass on the ataxia gene to the child for the child to develop the disease. Each child of parents which are carriers of a recessive gene have a 25% chance of developing the disease, a 50% chance of inheriting just one of the ataxia genes, becoming carrier themselves, and a 25% chance of inheriting no ataxia genes, because a single recessive ataxia gene does not cure symptoms. It can be passed on in a family for generations without being recognized. Therefore, there can appear to be a no family history of ataxia if the disease was inherited as a recessive gene. Friedreich's ataxia in short known as FRDA, was named after Nicholas Friedrich, who first described it in 1863. It was the first form of hereditary ataxia to be distinguished from other forms of ataxia. It is caused by an abnormality of a single gene called the frataxin FXN gene. The abnormality can be passed from generation to generation by family members who carry it. Two copies of each gene are inherited, one copy from the mother, one copy from the father. An individual who has one copy of an altered or non-functioning FXN gene does not develop any neurological symptoms, and it's a carrier. Ataxia telangiectasia appears early in childhood when children begin to walk. Though they usually start walking at a normal age, they wobble or sway when walking, standing still or sitting. They start to show signs of ataxia and soon after will show sign of telangiectasia or tiny red spider veins, which appear in the corners of the eyes, on the surface of the ears and cheeks exposed to sunlight. This unique appearance together with ataxia is what led to naming the disease ataxia telangiectasia. Mitochondrial ataxia can be inherited in other ways too. Mitochondrial ataxias pass from mother to child through the defect mitochondria in the mother's eggs. Acquired ataxias, there is a large group of people who have symptoms of ataxia that usually begin in adulthood, appear out of nowhere. Those who have no family history of the disease, with acquired ataxia, there is an external cause, which means a person developed it because of something had happened during their life. This can include many different problems and events such as vitamin deficiencies, autoimmune conditions, some infections, exposure to toxic substances or drugs, especially alcohol, various cancers, and many more. Sporadic ataxia occurs without any evidence that it was inherited from a family member. It can be difficult to diagnose. Other forms of ataxia must be ruled out before a diagnosis of sporadic ataxia can be made. The disease termed neurodegenerative because the nerve cells in the cerebellum gradually disappear and disability may be greater and progress more quickly with cerebellar plus form of sporadic ataxia. Physicians often use various terms when they make a diagnosis of sporadic ataxias, like olivopontocerebellar atrophy, OPCA, olivopontocerebellar degeneration, idiopathic late onset cerebral atrophy or degeneration, ILOCA or ILOCD. Multiple system atrophy. In some people, symptoms of sporadic ataxia are prelude to the development of multiple systems atrophy, in short known as MSA, which includes ataxia, Parkinsonian features such as rigidity and slowness of movement, and difficulty with the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system controls the automatic functioning of the body, including regulation of blood pressure, digestion, bladder and bowel function, some sexual functions and sweating. People with MSA whose symptoms begin with Ataxia as a symptom can be also used to describe a symptom of incoordination, which can be associated with infection, injuries, other diseases, or degenerative changes in the central nervous system. This form of ataxia is different from the neurological diseases, for example, who have ataxia as a symptom of another medical condition, such as head injury, stroke, MS, alcoholism, etc. We recommend that you contact the organization related to your specific condition for the most up-to-date and accurate information. Let's watch one short video.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joel Sutherland, Director of Development for the National Ataxia Foundation. Thanks for clicking in tonight and joining us for NAF tonight. We have a great announcement for you this evening, and I have several guests that are going to help bring this announcement to life. Our first guest is somebody who's been with us for almost 3 years and has provided some great leadership through some very exciting times. So please welcome to NAF tonight, our Executive Director, Andrew Rosen. Andrew? Good to see you.
Joel.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, no, glad you could be with us. We've got a great, exciting announcement for our community this evening, and Andrew, nobody better to make this announcement, so let our community know what's happening.
Joel, I am thrilled to be here tonight to tell our live studio audience and people clicking in around the world, we are here to announce our very first ever annual fund campaign for NAF, and we are calling it Accelerate. Joel, there is so much good stuff happening in NAF. Let me tell you just a few of the exciting programs we're working on right now. We have really ramped up our efforts in the advocacy area. So that's working out in Washington, D.C., trying to get legislation approved that matters to our community and find even more funding for ataxia research. And so we're really focused in that area. Another thing we've done is we've added a staff resource that is really specifically focused on our support groups, right? We have more than 60 support groups around the country, and we've got now a staff resource that is dedicated to really helping improve the services that we can offer for those support groups. Joel, as you know, ataxia research has been the lifeblood of NAF since our founding more than 65 years ago now. Right. Our board of directors just approved another almost $1 million of grants to ataxia researchers this month. And we just recently hired our very first chief scientific officer, who's going to make a real impact on our work. And then lastly, our NAF Drug Development Collaborative, that's an area that I spend a lot of my time on. That's a group of pharmaceutical companies that are all working on treatments for ataxia. And we want NAF to help them in any way we can to help them get some of those treatments across the finish line and into the hands of our patients that are impacted by ataxia. So we got a lot of really exciting stuff going on.
A lot of good things. But I got to ask you, where does the name Accelerate come from?
Yeah, so great question. We had some fun with this in naming the campaign. The most obvious kind of connection is to our very own mission statement. So NAF's mission is to accelerate the development of treatments and a cure while working to improve the lives of those living with ataxia. So there was an obvious connection there, the idea of speed, right? We want, so Accelerate not only, the campaign not only ensures that we'll be able to continue to do the great work we're doing, but we want to do it at a faster pace. Gotcha. We share this sense of urgency that I think our community feels, and we want to do all of these things more quickly and thus accelerate.
Well, that's outstanding. That's some great stuff. And when we come back, you'll be able to meet our co-chairs for the 2022 campaign and learn how you can participate as well. So stay tuned.
year, raising awareness of ataxia is huge for my race team. Friends of ours, a family just down the street, have 3 sons about my age suffering from this disease. They struggle with personal needs that we all take for granted, each day harder than the last. Please help us kick into high gear by donating to the NAF today.
That's great. That's great.
All right, well, hey, welcome back. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our 2022 Accelerate Fund National Chairs. Please welcome Mark and Leah Menken. Mark, Leah, come on out. All right, Leah, good to see you. All right. Hey, Mark, all right, good to see you.
All right.
Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you too.
Hey, thanks for being with us. Thanks for making the trip over. Glad you could be with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh gosh, it's glad you're with us. You know, Mark and Leah, you've all been the last several years been so generous with your time and saying yes to efforts that really help our community. And I want to thank you for saying yes to Accelerate this year. And I think for our audience, Mark, could you share the ataxia story that you and Leah have been on, please?
Absolutely. I mean, first we want to thank you so much for having us here, and you know, just excited to be part of Accelerate. You know, our story is back in 2017, I believe, is when we received the diagnosis of Leah with ataxia. And you know, it hit us hard. I mean, it hit us hard, and you know, like all of our audience here of individuals with ataxia, you know, dealing with things, and as soon as that happened, I decided I needed to do more. And back in 2018, I was fortunate enough to meet you out in Madison at a walk and roll, and no other way of saying it, you inspired me to do more. And that's why we're here today.
Well, you guys have done some great work, and I thank you for that. And Leah, share with us, what are your goals in being involved with Accelerate?
Well, my goal is number one, to support Mark in his efforts. And number two, I'd like to have everyone in our community be involved and be aware of Accelerate.
That's awesome, Leah. I mean, we have a large community, and we do hope that everybody gets involved with us. Mark, could you share with our audience how people can get involved?
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, there's a number of ways that people can participate. You know, first off, make a donation to Accelerate that you're comfortable with. You know, start or increase a monthly recurring gift.
By the way, remember, just $9 a month can pay for an hour of ataxia research.
I mean, that's a great point. And, you know, start a fundraiser. I mean, this is something that you know, you can do, that you're passionate about.
And why not tell them about some that you've done?
So, you know, I've done some brat fries at work where my company has matched up to $2,000. This is 2 years running now where I've done Zooms with Santa. So partners that I work with, their kids joined and visited Santa on Zoom, and that's one, you know, another way that I've worked to raise funds.
Well, your efforts have been absolutely outstanding over the years. We're proud to have you be our co-chairs as we launch Accelerate. And to what Leah mentioned, you know, for just $9 a month over the course of a year, you can virtually pay for an hour's worth of ataxia research. It's a great message that we have today. Thank you all for being with us, Mark and Leah. Andrew, thanks for launching this campaign with us today. And be sure to take a look for more videos coming your way from NAF tonight. Thanks so much. Thanks for clicking in. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
today is also commemorated as World Dream Day. We all have dreams, and we are not just talking about what happens when our eyes close at the end of the day. We are talking about the ones we have when we are wide awake. Many inventions in today's world started as simple ideas, but what brought about the skyscrapers and airplanes and the willpower of those with the big ideas to hold on to those dreams and force them into existence. Our aspirations are more than fantasies. With hard work and persistence, they are the flame that turns inventions into reality. World Dream Day is the first empowerment-driven holiday that encourages families, individuals, and companies to dream big and do what it takes to bring those dreams into reality with hard work. The initiative began at Columbia University in 2012 by the educator and leading transformative strategist, Uzioma Egbunobu. She consults on intricate strategic problems and transformational initiatives for an eclectic array of clients like Target, Walmart. Egbunobu have been featured in motivational shows such as TEDx and has spoken at world's leading organizations like the UN. Her transformational training inspired hope, ignited visionaries, and provoked innovation. 10 years ago, World Dream Day was launched for the purpose of being a time where dreamers and visionaries worldwide can come together to express their dreams for the future. It's a day where thought leaders can share their insights on how we can move global progress forward. When Igbenwu was asked why she created this day, the strategist said the aim was to heal and inspire humanity. Keeping dreams alive is why we have what we do today. Without dreamers like Martin Luther King or Bayard Rustin or Mahatma Gandhi or Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel or many dreamers like our ancient sages who gave us so much of knowledge, wisdom, we wouldn't have achieved so much. And also the change and the progress in the world, how world works, from civil rights to video games to modern games, computer games, nothing would have been possible without dreams and the people who help bring them to life. Today is a day where we can rekindle the powerful dreams we have embedded in us and stimulate ways to make them a reality. The founder of World Dream Day speaks at the UN briefing on global citizenship on Dream Differently in 2014. The theme is on flipping scripts and re-examining the global possibilities to be involved in 2017. The focus is on elevating dreams to the next level as individuals and as a collectively dreaming higher in 2019. On the 10th anniversary, everyone's invited to dream of positive possibilities, a dreaming forward in 2021. Is daydreaming dreaming? Yes, we believe daydreaming is an aspect of dreaming big. How you are going to bring those ideas to life if you don't imagine them in your head? Just try not to spend too much time there and forget the physical work is needed. To some extent, to certain time, it's good, but don't stay there. Because only just by dreaming, you cannot achieve anything. You have to put those thoughts into actions. Anyone who has breath can be part of the day's celebration. It doesn't matter who you are, where are you from, or as long as you can dream or hope, you can be involved. Now, how to dream big? Imagine the very best version of your dream. Take the time to carve out the details you want to achieve in the dream. Once you got a good picture of what you want, have faith, it will come into existence. So make a vision board. A crafty way to participate on this day would be make a dream or vision board. Put some time aside to write a list of your dreams, then cut out images that represent those dreams, hang the collage where you can see it. Involve your friends online and offline, engage on various platforms and spread the word online. Another fun way to celebrate would be to organize an open mic or something smaller or similar, using different mediums such as poetry or songs, or to talk about dreams, why it is important to dream in general. Young or old, we all dream for about 2 hours during REM stage of sleep. Studies show that we forget our dreams due to changing levels of acetylcholine and neuroepinephrine during the sleep. Sometimes we dream in black and white. Sometimes we have colorless dreams. Researchers believe animals have different sleep stages, including REM. So animals have dreams too. It's normal for our bodies to go limp when we dream to prevent us from acting out. Today is about igniting imagination and propelling innovation forward. We are also inspired to think outside the box and reimagine our lives by listening to the stories of famous dreamers throughout history that made their dreams come true. Thousands of individuals will be sharing their stories of success, the challenges they faced, and how they got through them. Today is a day to research and see who you can relate with and how they made their dreams come true despite the odds. On this day, people share their aspirations and ideas on different problems that world has, as well as how they believe they can solve these problems. It is a day where those people can meet individuals with a similar vision and can help facilitate those dreams and bring them to life. Today is also commemorated as World Pharmacists Day in US. It is a celebration of every pharmacist, pharmaceutical scientist, and others who are part of this field. 4 million people are engaged in this profession around the globe. World Pharmacists Day is thus not only a welcome event, but it is also a crucial holiday to honor the role these guys play in improving global health outcomes. The day is marked by the events and activities sponsored by various government and non-governmental organizations globally. They all have one common goal: to increase awareness about pharmacists and their roles. The ancient art of pharmacy probably began when someone somewhere first thought of applying the juice from leaves to heal a wound. There also have been Greek legends written centuries ago that spoke of gods being apothecaries of pharmacy. The Greek god of healing, Asclepius, delegated the compounding of his remedies to Hygeia, his apothecary or pharmacist. So even before that, since time immemorial, Vedas have mentioned a lot of such things, and our ancient sages, even our Ayurveda, the earliest known medicine to mankind, also gives account of lot of treatments and medications. For the longest time, healing and pharmacy went hand in hand, and we are often thought as of same practice. The line between pharmacy and medicine began to be defined by 8th century and was firmly established by the time 17th century rolled along. Now physicians could no longer prepare medications for their patients themselves. The field transformed yet again with the onslaught of the World War II. New drugs were constantly introduced into the market, and the role of pharmacists became more defined than ever. Today's pharmacist performs multiple vital duties. Their tasks include identifying and providing people with right medication, overseeing stocking and restocking of medicines and staying ahead of medicine expiry dates. This is probably why the International Pharmaceutical Federation, FIP, established this day to honor all pharmacists, the premier global body to represent all pharmacists and pharmaceutical scientists. The FIP aims to support the pharmacist network and the development of this profession. The reason behind the date of annual celebration can be also traced back to FIP. According to the founders of the day, they wanted to honor organization that was doing so much for the pharmacist. This is why they picked up the date of FIP was established on September 25th, 1912. An artificial pharmaceutical assistance, the Riva robotic device, automatically prepares medicines, setting new pharmaceutical safety standards and reducing the chances of human error. In 2008, at the International Pharmaceutical Federation's Council meeting in Turkey, members float an idea to celebrate all pharmacists by founding a special World Pharmacist Day in 2009. So January 12th of each year is celebrated as a National Pharmacist Day to honor pharmacists and the work they do in the US. Today is World Pharmacist Day. So countries like China, Germany, and US and Europe have constantly been the biggest producers of drugs and medicines over the past decades. So your local pharmacy has seen you through some of the very trying times. Show them your gratitude, start with simple thanks and move to advertise their awesome services to everyone you know. Buy medicines and other available items from local pharmacies as well as buy medicines and other available items from local pharmacies as much as you can. This way, you can contribute towards keeping the place open and keep your pharmacist in a job. Learn about a pharmacist's role, what they have to do for the local community and how they have helped in global community and which health services they are qualified to provide. Learn all you can about the noble profession and share the information with everyone you know so that they can accelerate and celebrate this day too. So around 90% of the people in the US live within 5 miles of a pharmacist. That's how many of these professions the country have. Many pharmacists were famous people like Alexander Flamingo, Agatha Christie, world famous crime author, and Hubert Humphrey, 38th Vice President of the pharmacists began selling the first mass-produced prepackaged drug called antiprine in 1883. By 1900s, most medicines were sold by the pharmacies this way. A pharmacist named James Werner was creating a mixture to calm the stomach when he accidentally made that would be known as America's oldest soft drinks, Werner's Singer Ale. So more than 4 million pharmacists worldwide had reportedly boosted the revenue of this market to around 124 point. Today is also commemorated as Research Administrator Day, is observed annually on September 25th. Research administrators play a significant role in ensuring the smooth functioning of the research enterprise. This day is dedicated to those professionals who assist This day is dedicated to those professionals who assist researchers at research organizations and educational institutions to conduct research. Many organizations around the globe give standards who participate in these researchers scholarships to pursue their higher education. Research is the key to discovery, new information that can be used to make an impact or bring about a change. So research administrators carry out these functions, which entails multiple roles from overseeing and compliance to review and interpretation, and also to functions to perfection with an aim to deliver accelerate research. Research administrators help to ease the load on the top management so that they can focus on core activities and ensure overall objectives are met. These hardworking professionals can be found in variety of fields such as health, education, research administration. Initially started in 1940s with a small number of people, but now this field has picked up momentum to recognize the diligent work carried out by these research organizations, administrators, and CURA submitted national research Research administrator is a tough of job, requires both academic and professional qualifications and credentials to enter into the field. Research Administrator Day or Day can help to throw light on others' reputable profession, and this inspires various others. The concept of the relationship between research and development emerges in 1950s. A set of ethical principles regarding human research and ECHO is formed. Review of literature, revision of Declaration of Helsinki after multiple revisions. The latest Declaration of Helsinki is finalized at the 40th meeting. A research administrator is someone that undertakes administrative maintenance, compliance, review, or oversight for a sponsored program. Candidates need to hold a bachelor's degree and possess a minimum of 3 years of related experience. Additionally, one also needs to pass the Scientific Research Administrator examination before being conferred to the right to use the CRA destination and designation. The program duration is about 20 to 21 months, which include coursework to research in research site management, clinical research management, research protocol design, and introduction to ethics and clinical research terminology. So take this opportunity to thank a research administrator. Their work requires a lot of meticulousness, precision, and mental stamina. It's not easy. Appreciating them for their efforts will boost their productivity. There are two distinct types of research, academic and scientific research. A research project should have an objective, be systematic, and be organized. Research activities include studying information, modeling, measuring, comparing, and interpreting. Research has to be published for the world to view and access. Research can actually help to make real differences in the world. Research administrators have a thankless job, get overlooked easily in large organizations. However, their work deserves due credit and their effort should not be unnoticed. Research Administrators Day puts the spotlight on these unsung heroes. Conducting research is not easy. You need to be able to do planning, critical thinking, double-checking, analyzing, interpreting, and many more. All of these takes up a copious amount of brain power. It can be mentally draining, but still very rewarding. It deserves to be celebrated. Not many consider becoming a research administrator on the first go. This is mostly due to lack of information surrounding what research administrators do and scope of growth in that field. Research Administrator Day can help to throw light on that and that promote it as a viable career option for building and aspiring researchers. Today is commemorated as Math Storytelling Day. When we hear the word math, are oftenly immediately uninterested. To be fair, math is a difficult skill to master and requires practice. But who said you can't master it in a fun way? Math Storytelling Day encourages people to go beyond rote memorization and incorporate storytelling instead to develop more interest in this subject. Math has been in existence since 3000 BC and has evolved over years. Some of the oldest maths in the West were from Mesopotamia and Egypt date back to 2000 to 1800 BC. Math is an extremely important subject for students hoping to pursue career in science and technology, engineering, or math. However, without a natural liking towards numbers and the subject intimidating and scare people off. This is partly to be blamed on the way math is taught in schools across the globe. The emphasis on memorization instead of learning concepts and then applying them has done with harm than good. Nevertheless, people have come up with various ways to make math the friend rather than the enemy. One such is storytelling via math. This can be through games, storybooks, puzzles, videos, and a lot more. The Natural Math community created the Math Storytelling Day in 2009. Dr. Maria Drojkova was inspired after reading a blog by Seth Godin on what should I do on your birthday. Dr. Drojkova decided the Math Storytelling Day should be shared with friends and family on her birthday, which falls on September 25th. Interestingly, the first person to respond to her math stories was Sue Van Hattem, who shares the same birthday on September 25th. They wanted encourage math storytelling in various forms and share it with people across the age groups and social circles. Math Storytelling Day has been celebrated for over a decade, and you can join in on the fun too by sharing your own set of stories to teach and make people love math. Ancient Sumerians developed a complex system of metrology, 2000 BC. The Babylonian basis of mathematics starts to develop in 2000 BC. Progress in mathematics began in Europe and algebraic solution of cubic and quartic equations since 16th century. Mathematicians extend the power of mathematics as a calculatory sciences with the discovery of algorithms in 17th century. So math storytelling appreciates and celebrates the way children use math in their daily lives, in playing and learning. Fun stories and activities can make it easy for people to learn math. Archimedes, one of the most notable Greek mathematicians, is regarded as father of mathematics in the West. So there are various ways to teach additional stories. You can try story problems through drawings, finger, puppets, double dice games, etc. Math can be easy to learn if you make it fun. There are many ways to teach via stories, including logic, puzzles, patterns, props, characters, etc. It will definitely be a lot of less intimidating than only seeing numbers on paper. You are not alone if you still do not understand many concepts of math, but this is the day you can change that. Set aside a few hours in the day to brush up on some basics. You can also make an interesting math puzzle to revise what you have learned. Every individual has to learn math once in their lifetime. You can make this easy by creating a small math storybook, maybe for kids or so that they can start enjoying the subject from a young age. Math won't be so intimidating for them as they grow up. The word 100 comes from the Old Norse term, handrak, and is actually means 120 and not 100. The only number that is spelled with letters arranged in alphabetical order is 40. The only number to be spelled with letters in descending order is 1. The symbol for division in math is called obolus. Since Americans regard mathematics as a singular noun, they called it math and not maths. Math encourages us to think analytically and have better reasoning abilities. They are important as they help us to solve problems and come up with creative solutions. It is as important that we learn math, and storytelling can help. Math finds a place in almost every career in some way or the other. Even marketing now places great emphasis on analytics and returns, which need math skills. Math Storytelling Day encourages a different way to teach math to help people get over fear of intimidating numbers. Without knowing math, it would be difficult to read the time. You can even use a clock as a prop in math storytelling and teach it that way. The importance of math in our daily lives cannot be emphasized more. Today is also commemorated as German Butterbrot Day. The day celebrates well-loved German meal staple of butter bread. Although butter bread sounds like a rather bland meal, it's actually a wonderful basis for any type of meal, whether you want a light breakfast or jam or a toast or a hearty dinner of schnitzel or butter bread. You are always going to start with bread and butter. It was started in 1999 by Marketing Organization of German Agriculture Industries. Butterbrot has been the staple food for Germans. Today, we are also commemorating Binge Day in US as a fun and relaxing day to binge watch your favorite movies, series, TV shows. The day is not a federal holiday, so it is not a day off unless it falls on the weekend. So the word binge or binge in original terms means to soak, to be soaked fully in wet mud, sweat, or anything that you can get soaked in. Since its introduction in 18th century, the term been used to describe the soaked up state of anyone who is bogged down in a ton of labor. With the introduction of comic books in 1920s, the first trend that was observed was the rapid finishing of the entire comic book series in one sitting. It was common to feel the urge of read all at once and then wait a long time for new release. The same trend was observed decades later in 1970s and 1980s when the cassettes were introduced and made it feasible to physically possess a movie or TV show. This meant that the people could now watch their favorite movie or show whenever they wanted. When Japanese magazines began posting chapters of their manga comic books in the 1980s, the idea of binge watching, as we know today, it was born. A collection of these chapters would then be published as a solo volume of a story comic. The concept of binge reading was introduced as a result of the collection of chapters being able to read continuously all at once. All the streaming providers, including Netflix, later adopted this tactic. Today is also commemorated as Yom Kippur, which is considered the holiest day in Judaism. And this day lasts approximately 25 hours and is typically observed with fasting and prayer in alignment with the themes of atonement and repentance. People are asked to abstain from food and drink as well as bathing and from marital relationships. In turn, encourage that people spend the day asking God's forgiveness for their sins and donating to charity. Today is also commemorated as National Lobster Day in US. Which is rather celebrated as a cuisine rather than animal species. The lobster's rags to riches transformation only came about once a railway started serving the meat as an exotic item to its unknowing passengers. With railroads starting across the country, it didn't take long for word to spread about the delicacy, which was foreign to all but hailing from the Northeast. Today is also commemorated as National Daughters Day in US to celebrate and cherish our daughters who brings so much love into our lives. Although we don't really need a reason to celebrate our children, it's nice to be given the opportunity to pay our daughters some extra attention and show them how much they are loved. So we remember to show unconditional love for the guardian of our family trust, our beautiful, witty, creative, and sometimes demanding daughters. For aging parents, especially a daughter maintains a level of connectivity and commitment that keeps families together and healthy. Of course, that's not to say that sons don't do their part. But today we are talking exclusively about daughters. There is a great, this time of the year is a great time to be a daughter. Not long after National Daughters Day comes National Transfer Money to the Your Daughter Day. October 6th is an entire day devoted to daughters getting some extra pocket money from their parents. If your parents don't believe in this day, then you'd better forward it on and set them straight. The original meaning behind this day may have blossomed in India for the Hindustan times. Unlike other countries in the world, there has always been a certain stigma attached to being a girl child in India. And while this may no longer be the case in big cities, it is still quite widespread in India. When a woman gives birth to a girl child, she is penalized, while developing countries often see daughters as a burden. Other nations celebrate. Not completely, under some exceptional cases. So we might also view the day in the context of Me Too movement, especially in the US, where women have faced daunting obstacles throughout the history. From the very beginning, society viewed women as inferior to men in the US and developed countries. The law did not recognize wives' independence in economic, political, or civic matters in Anglo-American society of the 18th century or other developed countries. Male privilege dominated at the time. Women did not receive the right to vote until 1920 in US. Up until 1960s, wives typically stayed at home while husbands worked. In many ways, the US is still shaking off the dust of gender discrimination, which existed since time immemorial. With so much emphasis, history placed an importance on sons, especially in the area of inheritance. The status of having a daughter often been diminished. In royalty, lines of succession have always flowed from father to son. Although this tradition has recently abandoned by today's British royal family, if the first child of the Duke and Duchess of the Cambridge is a girl, she would automatically enter the line of succession as a future queen. Today is also commemorated as One Hit Wonder Day in US. This day is a perfect excuse to listen to songs that have been in your head since they first aired. So buckle up and get ready to remember all the artists whose names have been lost to time, but whose works have stayed behind in your minds and hearts. Yes, everything. And it was originally started in 1990 by a music journalist named Steve Rosen, because he wanted people to remember the names of artists who only had a brief moment on the spotlight despite their work outliving them. It seems only fair that we have a few minutes to think about the talented artists who gave us the hits that are etched in our minds and hearts even today. Today is also commemorated as National Yoga Fit Day in US, celebrating physical and mental fitness through yoga. Yoga is an ancient physical, mental, and spiritual practice originating from India. The word yoga is derived from Sanskrit and is literally translates to joining or uniting, which symbolizes the union of body and consciousness. There are two general theories on the origins of yoga. The linear model posits The linear model posits that yoga has Vedic origins, which is reflected in the Vedic literature. The model also holds that it influenced Buddhism, according to author Edward Fitzpatrick Grangle. This model is mainly supported by Hindu scholars. The synthetic model, however, holds yoga as a synthesis of indigenous, non-Vedic, and Vedic elements. The synthesis model is favored in Western scholarship in Western countries. There is no consensus on origins or chronology of yoga other than its development in ancient India. Yoga satellite traditions began to develop in the Middle Ages, having surfaced among educated Western public elites during the mid-19th century. The Vedas, which are the only texts preserved from the early Vedic period and codified between 1200 BC and 900 BC, which as per the West, as per some historical, but it is much more older and can contain reference to yogic and other such practices, primarily related to aesthetics and the fringes of Brahmanism. According to the Rig Vedas, Nasdiya Sukta, yoga was early Brahmanic contemplative tradition. There were mentions of breath control techniques and vital energies in the Atharva Veda and in the Brahmanas, which is the second layer of Vedas composed between 1000 BC to 800 BC. Yoga and other aspects of Indian philosophy came to attention of the educated Western public during the mid-19th century, and N.C. Paul published his treatise on yoga philosophy in 1851. Swami Vivekananda, who was the first Hindu teacher to advocate and disseminate elements of yoga to a Western audience, toured Europe. Yoga and other aspects of Indian philosophy came to the attention of educated Western public during the mid-19th century, and N.C. Paul published a treatise on yoga philosophy in 1851. Swami Vivekananda, who was the first Hindu teacher to advocate and disseminate elements of yoga to a Western audience, toured Europe and the United States in the 1890s. This doesn't mean that yoga did not exist earlier. It has a long history and lineage. Because of paucity of time, we are not discussing in detail. Yoga is thousands and thousands of years old. It has existed for well of more than 5,000 years. Yoga is a word originating from Sanskrit, meaning union. Yoga is one of the oldest disciplines in the world. Yoga was originally practiced as a means of healing therapy, but later expanded into a full discipline. Yoga was introduced to Europe and United States in the 18th century. Yoga teaches discipline and tolerance to everyone who practices it. It's nothing but beneficial. Yoga helps individuals with calmness. Practicing yoga produces a well-rested mind. Yoga is a discipline that gives all-round well-being. So try it today if you're not practicing already. Today is also commemorated as National Tune-Up Day. Reminds homeowners to prepare the house for the winter heating season. Heating and cooling specialists suggest that homeowners tune up their heating system every year well before the temperatures start dipping. These tune-ups ensure that the systems are operating the way they are supposed to, and you and your family remain comfortable in the winter months. Every responsible homeowner knows that the systems are only as good as a tune-up. Schedule an appointment with your super and get your household essentials checked. Today is also commemorated as National Road Kill Day in US. Is about raising awareness about the dangers of roadkill or how it's an issue that so many animals die on the roads. This would be wrong and this would be the wrong assumption. National Roadkill is actually about raising awareness about roadkill as an immediate and no-waste alternative to help feed many hungry Americans. Roadkill refers to the wildlife being hit or killed by moving cars since the invention of automobiles in the early 1900s, when the data surrounding roadkill started to mount up and became a safety and ecological concern. Joseph Grinnell, a naturalist, began to look into the issue. He estimated that in California alone, the number of animals being hit by vehicles was somewhere in hundreds or even thousands every day. There was a century ago, but the numbers have only increased in more recent times. According to the state farms, there were 2.1 million insurance claims concerning animal collision incidents in US between June 2020 and July 2021. Pennsylvania was reported to have the most cases of animal collisions, climbing to 166,404 for just that year. It was estimated in 1920 the animal collision incidents in one state averaged around 12,000 incidents in a year. According to the studies, California went from around 12,000 collisions to 104,767 incidents between 2020 and 2021, an increase of 92,767 incidents. The reason why roadkill incidents have jumped up so high is due to several factors. First, human population has rapidly expanded in its numbers alongside the size of towns and cities. We have forced animals to live in man-made environments despite dangers to all creatures involved. Second, people's driving has become significantly faster and more distracted. Normal highway speeds already pose a fatal risk, and when it comes to collisions due to distraction, but many people still drive at a high speed, an estimated of around 6 million. An estimate of around 1.6 million crashes in the US are caused by the drivers distracted by their phones. When you add all of these factors together, it's easy to see why roadkill has become as prevalent as it is in the US. Today is also commemorated as National Quesadilla Day in US. Originating from Mexico, quesadilla has evolved over time as a result of many experiments people had with different variations of it. A mouth-watering food is enjoyed by many people in the USA, has gained popularity all over the world as a result of its easy to use and make recipes. Today is also commemorated as National Psychotherapy Day in US. Mental illness was always disregarded and not considered a real health problem. Over the years, people have started acknowledging that for overall well-being, your physical as well as the mental health needs to be in good condition. Fortunately, there have been quite some advancements in the field of treating mental problems, one of them being psychotherapy. However, there is need for increased awareness of this form of therapy and the benefits it can provide. People have been seeking therapy in a rather informal way for years by the way of taking counseling from friends and family. However, over the years, with many advancements in the medical field, some professionals have emerged who can help with your mental health issues. Through the use of various forms of therapies, they can assist you in overcoming the challenges that prohibit you from living your best possible. Psychotherapy is one such form of therapy that helps people with variety of mental illness and difficulties. It is believed that during 9th century, purposeful and theory-based psychotherapy was first developed by a Persian physician and psychological thinker. There are many benefits of psychotherapy, and there is a need for it to be spoken about more to normalize many training programs in clinical psychology at the PhD level. Psychotherapy is one such form of therapy that helps people with a variety of mental illness and difficulties. It is believed that during the 9th century, purposeful and theory-based psychotherapy was first developed by a Persian physician and psychological thinker. Phrases. There are many benefits of psychotherapy, and there is a need for it to be spoken about more to normalize it. Many training programs in clinical psychology at the PhD level have adopted to empirical approach to psychotherapy. This has led to a greater emphasis on cognitive behavioral interventions with one singular goal of improving the quality of a person's mental health and allowing them to be happy. To this effect, a group of professionals and students created Psychotherapy Day in 2012. The goal was to combat misconceptions and to raise awareness, and that today is also commemorated as National One Hit Wonder Day, to remember artists who had 5 minutes of fame once upon a time and have since wiped out from our memories. However forgettable the artists are, their hit songs will eternally be etched in our minds. Even though you might forget when your best friend's birthday is, but you will always able to sing along the chorus of these songs, which are connected to specific moments from our past, and remembering them allows you to revisit our former selves. Today is also commemorated as National Food Service Employees Day, to recognize, appreciate, and thank the staff that works in the food service industry. Hosts, waiters, chefs, cleaning staff, and managers all are integral members of the teams that make sure that food establishments run smoothly, whether they work in restaurants, coffee shops, caves, nursing homes, hospitals, schools, and more. These employees aim to provide us with the best services available. Today is also commemorated as National Cooking Day in US. It can be easy to get in a rut of constant ordering, takeout, heating up frozen meals, or settling up for a dinner of apples and cheese. But if you want to feel truly nourished, nothing beats a home-cooked meal. It's nice to slow down and enjoy the process of preparing your own food and the joy of eating. This day encourages and inspires each of us to discover something new and enjoyable in the kitchen. It's time to learn a new skill by National Cooking Day encourages and inspires each of us to discover something new, enjoyable in the kitchen. It's time to learn a new skill by preparing something delicious for our loved ones and ourselves. So put on your aprons and let's get cooking ready. Cook your favorite meal, throw a potluck party, cook with a friend. You can experiment with new recipes. You get connected to family and friends. Home cooking is healthier. Today is also commemorated as National Comic Book Day in US. Source into a community near to you, the genre has grown to include full-length books or graphic novels and inspire countless movie adaptations. While they were first typically humorous in nature, it didn't take long for the authors to apply comic style to all genres. With this, we shall conclude today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us on this day. Feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, and the registration link for the webinar has been shared in the chat box. Those who have not registered, we request them to register. The registration link is same for all the webinar series. Once you open the form, you can bookmark and register daily. So thank you everyone for joining us. See you all tomorrow for the seminar. And the links for the upcoming registration links for the upcoming seminar has been already shared in WhatsApp group, Facebook, and other platforms. We request everyone to register for all the events if you are planning to attend and are expecting a certificate for all the events. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Good night.